everybody! On today's episode of Cooking with COVID, or that's what it should be called, I'm going to be sharing with y'all a quick little recipe that doesn't take a lot of time to prepare, but it takes a while for it to dry. But if you are one of my clients or one of my vendor partners, you've probably already tasted them, and it is meringues! Okay, so I'm going to just make this quick video to show you how to make it in your own home with hopefully things that you have in the pantry. So let's get started. For this recipe, you will need approximately 3 to 4 egg whites, 1/4 teaspoon cream of tartar. If you don't, lemon juice or vinegar will work. 3/4 of a cup to 1 cup of granulated sugar, half a teaspoon of your favorite flavoring, be it vanilla extract or strawberry extract, even orange zest works, and 2 to 3 drops of food coloring if you prefer it to not just be white. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is take your eggs, and they don't have to be farm fresh, they can be whatever eggs that you managed to scavenge while we destroyed the earth, and you're going to crack them, and the goal is going to be just to get the egg whites in this bowl, and I'm not that great at it, but I try to do my best. And what I'm doing is I'm just saving all of the yellow part into a cup over here, so I can make some scrambled eggs or some hash browns later, or whatever I need this eggs for. But I'm just going to break up 3 or 4 eggs, depending on the size of your eggs. I'm horrible at cracking them, so please don't judge too hard. The concept is, though, just separate out the yolks. Because the idea behind meringues is it's something that works best when there's no humidity in the air. And then the second thing is to try not to get any fats in them. And believe it or not, your egg, which you love to have in the morning, is chock full of healthy fats that will not let the meringue lift the way it needs to. And if you're looking really close, you can tell I've already gotten a little bit of yolk in there, but like I said, nobody's perfect, and these things still will work. I'm just gonna have to put a little more effort into them. So once you've gotten your yolks off to the side, now you just get to beat them real nice and slow. The idea is to whip them into soft peaks and then slowly add in your sugar. So I've already measured out my 3/4 cup sugar over here, and I'm gonna measure it in nice and slow as we go. You'll notice it starts to get a nice frothier consistency, and we're just going to keep going, and thank God that we're not in pioneer days and had to do this by hand. Now, this might be blasphemy, but this is about the time that I add just a tiny bit of lemon juice. So I have my real lime because I'm basic like that. Some people use cream of tartar. There's a number of things that you can use. I just have this in the house. I don't know where my cream of tartar is. And you just need 1/4 of a teaspoon, just a tiny bit, to help with this process. And this is also about the time that I like to add in my extract flavor. Now, if you want traditional ones and you don't have food coloring in your house, vanilla or whatever almond blend flavoring that you have will work. I like to use a little strawberry and some red food coloring just to give it a nice little happy pink color. And if I'm being extra fancy, I'll get out my piping bag and I can make little shapes on the baking pan when we're ready. But I'm just going to use a spoon today just because I figure most of you don't have a cake decorating kit. So for your flavoring, it's just half a teaspoon. That's all you need to give it a nice robust flavor. I'm going to keep whipping this and then add in the rest of my sugar and show you what you're looking for consistency-wise. I also want to add that you don't want to just throw in all your sugar at once, because I've done that before, and what it does is leave this really weird gritty texture in your cookies, and that's not ever something you want to eat. So we're getting closer, but I need to not lose my air bubbles. Now that I've been beating my pink fluff into submission, you can kind of see that these ripples are being formed and they kind of stay in their place. As I pull out my egg beaters, you can kind of see that it's starting to form stiff peaks. Now, because of the humidity we've been having up here in Weatherford, I had to put almost another 1/4 cup of sugar, so we're at like a cup of sugar, and I've also been beating it for about 10 minutes. So, now, normally, if I'm preparing this as a gift or a dinner party, I'm going to spoon this into a piping bag with a specialized tip. If you don't have a piping bag, as most Americans probably don't, you can always take a Ziploc baggie and just snip off like the tiny corner and use that as your piping bag. But today, I'm being lazy because COVID's made me lazy, and I am just going to take a spoon or two, and I'm going to put them directly, my little fluffs, directly onto my baking sheet. Now, when we get ready to throw it in the oven, I have my oven preheated right now at 200 degrees. It's a very low temperature because remember, it's just egg whites and sugar and a little bit of flavor. So you're gonna be low and slow, kind of like you're doing brisket, guys. Nice low heat, long time in the oven. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna pop this sucker into the oven at 200 degrees for 45 minutes to an hour. Now, that's on normal conditions. It's a little rainy outside still, so I'm probably gonna leave it in the oven for about 1 hour and 15 minutes. At that time, I will pop in and check at them. They'll get a nice color. They won't be super golden because I don't wanna overcook them. But you'll notice. If you've ever had a meringue or a meringue on top of a pie, you kind of know what you're going for. If you didn't put food coloring on it, it'll stay nice, white, and glossy. You can always use this recipe on top of pies. I'm just doing quick, easy cookies to have something to satisfy a sweet tooth without having to run to the grocery store. Once they've been in the oven for about 1 hour and 15 minutes, what I'm going to do is turn the oven off, and I'm gonna leave them in the oven to basically dry out for that next hour. And then once they've almost completely cooled, I can touch them, I can plop them right off of this parchment paper, and I will have cookies ready to go. The key to these cookies too is to keep them in an airtight container because any moisture in the air will make them really chewy. And I like mine to have that crisp bite, chunk into your mouth, melt in your mouth, excuse me, and then not too much chewiness. So my little blobs are about ready, and I'm about to stick them in the oven. This batter will lose its fluffiness, so it's best to go ahead and use it right away. It's not something I normally would store. If you have more than one cookie sheet, go ahead and line it with parchment, get it in the oven at the same time, and then that way you're not disturbing the oven's environment when you do pop it in. And when they're done, I'm gonna come back and show you what they look like.